Well, our guest today is Tim Brown from Hook Agency. This is a website development company that specializes in websites for contractors. And I consider myself sort of an amateur website guy. I guess like I consider myself an amateur lots of things in terms of hobbies and crafts and trades that I like to get my hands on. I did my first website in high school. It was probably 1997, and in the computer class, we all built little GeoCities sites with HTML. And even our Essential Craftsman site right now, I did that one, although it was in Squarespace, which comes up in here, which I'm a big fan of. It's really easy to use, and Tim agreed that for a lot of people, it's a good option. But Tim does more serious websites designed for specific purposes for contractors to achieve specific goals. Maybe that's more business, or maybe that's getting in front of the right type of business, or maybe it's attracting employees. So if you're a website person, this is probably not going to be too groundbreaking for you. But if you're a contractor, and I know a lot of contractors who don't have websites, don't need websites, their schedule is booked, but they all, at least still like in the back of their mind, kind of feel like I should have a website. It's just one of those things that isn't a priority. So that's kind of what we're talking about. And Tim's great. He started this company. He's the CEO, the owner, and wow, they really know what they're doing. And he eats and breathes this stuff. He is the professional. So very happy to bring you this discussion, and also very happy to have our first advertiser on the show. Drum roll. Essential Craftsman Academy. Not sure if you guys have been watching our YouTube rollout, but this week we announced our newly remodeled and updated. No, it's totally revamped. Our membership site called Essential Craftsman Academy. This is where for $9 a month you get access to every piece of content we've ever made, which includes a lot of videos and courses that have never been on YouTube. Our blacksmithing course that we made a few years ago that we sold just a month ago for $300. That is now a part of this. A course that I do about the things we've learned about video work and social media and building YouTube channels and using these things to bring business for contractors. There is a monthly shop talk meeting that we're doing with my dad, where it's basically just like this, except it's live and Zoom, where you can ask questions to him and chit chat for an hour. And we've been doing that for a few months. It's great. So a lot of reasons to join, and those reasons will continue to increase as the months go on. We're going to be adding more and more things to it. So essentialcraftsman.com/academy to learn more. It kind of has a limited open, so not sure by the time this ad comes out, it could be that our opening window period is closed. We want to close it so we can kind of get feedback and troubleshoot and make it optimum for the time when we roll it out permanent. So there you go. And with no further ado, Tim Brown from Hook Agency.
The funny thing is, like, so many of these things don't go through nowadays. Like a Google review, like half of them go through now.
Why is that? Are they like holding them back or something?
Yeah,
they're
they're just like, if you haven't left like 10 before, and you're just like, they think of it as like, oh, this must not be real or something like that. But it's more like just, hey, maybe our clients don't leave a ton of reviews, like it's not like that. It's not like they're not on the internet constantly like some people. So
yeah, that makes sense, because you wouldn't have to give yourself very many fake ones in order to skew the reality of something. So that's probably what they're concerned about.
It's good. I mean, it's good that Google is fixing that, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's just so funny. I already know, I know of a bunch of other, I know of people that do that as like a service. They'll like make fake reviews, and like there's work. There's work more.
That's their business, is they will create you fake reviews.
That's a real thing. Yeah. And I know, because like we're bumping against other marketers all the time. So yeah, that's a real thing. And the funny thing is, those fake reviews will show up on people's shit more than like our real clients.
Wow.
So it's obnoxious, but
isn't that risky to do that? Because Google, you're like trying to cheat, right?
Yeah, it's definitely risky. I wouldn't suggest it. I strongly suggest keeping with the real shit because it's
Yeah.
also here's the deal, man. Like I see growth hackers, right? Like a guy growth, even like, on every single platform, there's somebody growth hacking. I think that it gets sniffed out, and honestly, usually algorithms penalize that. So, like,
Yeah.
for instance, I see this guy on LinkedIn who is in like something called like something with pods, and it like literally like it's like an engagement pod, but it's like kind of fake. So, like, balloon his engagement to like 700 likes very quickly. But then real customers see that type of stuff. Like it doesn't take
Yeah.
like a really adept nose to sniff
Yeah.
that and then to think, okay, is this person the sneaky guy? Like
Yeah.
you can get branded as sneaky. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
I used to do every engagement hack possible, but you don't want to get branded in a customer's mind as sneaky. What other sneaky stuff are you up to? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and there's like a sneaky is the right word. I also see that and it feels phony. It
Yep.
feels somehow like the person is faking the
Yeah.
essence of what they're who they are and what they're
Yeah.
advertising or whatever, which is
And if they're
the worst
marketing, it's
possible thing.
yeah, and especially if you're a marketer, like it's already easy to get seen as phony. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's something
Yeah.
to watch out for sure, man. Like we used to do sneaky shit, and it was good for the client in a way, but it's like the sneaky shit. Like it's hard for them to know: are you doing the sneaky towards me or sneaky towards, you know what I mean? It doesn't. We're trying to game the algorithm. That is SEO in a nutshell. Is gaming the algorithm a little bit. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
So it's kind of a weird thing, but yeah, you definitely don't want to be seen as sneaky or phony. So those are things to watch out for. I mean, homeowners don't want to see sneaky shit on your social media or whatever.
So speaking of growth hacking and SEO, it really is interesting because it's almost like Google and these algorithms, they're on the side of like the user, like they want to line up the authentic person with the
Yes.
person searching for
Yeah.
that. So and websites have they continue to evolve. I've made a handful of them over my life, and there was a time where I felt like when I was had some businesses that it was a really important thing, and if you didn't have a website, in fact, I remember hearing that all the time, like if you don't have a website, you're not really in business or something. And most
Hmm.
contractors can like dispel that myth very quickly because
Yeah.
there's a lot of good contractors who are
Yeah.
so busy and they don't even have a computer, much less a website. Um,
Yeah.
so maybe why don't you jump in right there? What's the state of like websites today?
Mm.
Do you feel like they've changed in importance more or less, or is it just a different type of purpose now than it
Yeah.
was 10 years ago or something? Or what's the
So
state of the union now?
I mean, you should have one. So you should have a website. I think it's like it's like the stat is like 63% of people or something like that. It's something around there where they admit that they're making a decision on they're judging the quality of a company based on the quality of their website. So it's
Mm,
basically like they can't tell. A homeowner can't look at your website like, or they can't follow you to a job site and look at the detail of the carpentry work of the thing that you're doing, right? They don't have a little GoPro. You don't have a GoPro. That would be really cool,
right.
right? You have a GoPro and just follows you around and shows the detail of your cuts, and they can say, "Dang,
Yeah.
that's a good cut," right?
Yeah.
So they don't have that. So the only way that they can see the quality of your company is through things like your website and your Google reviews. So
Yeah.
you're just basically projecting the quality out to the world. And it's not just leads, although that's something we help people do is get more leads. It's not just leads because I know a lot of you are just doused in work 6 to 9 to 12 months out. Higher, by the way.
Yeah.
But but some of you want to just be craftsmen. That's okay because we're on the Essential Craftsman show. But I
Right.
think that marketing is part of the craft of modern, as a contractor, as a modern contractor, marketing, I think, is part of the craft. And certainly we get a lot of that. But the point is like you are showing your quality with your website, whether you want to or not. That's people are judging the quality of your services. It might not seem right to you,
Mhm.
but they really are. And so it's not just leads, it's also how much is this going to cost? And if you get
Yeah.
branded in their mind as a low quality provider, they're only going to accept a certain amount, maybe from a really nice website, brand company with really good reviews. They would accept $100,000 for that job. But for you, based on your brand and the way your website looks and your Google reviews at a 4.2, this guy's at a 4.7, they might only accept a $70,000 quote from you. So
Mm.
they're branding you in their mind as the low cost provider. Do you want to be branded as the low cost provider? So it's basically
Right.
like we're all being judged all the time. It doesn't matter if you want to. And I agree, websites are not, it's not like you can't make a business. It's like you're going to be branded in people's mind in a certain way. And
Yeah.
that's basically what it is. So you can roll out a cheap WordPress theme on your website. There's nothing wrong with it. Please do that at the beginning of your business from I think even up till 1.5 million. Like I think that going that cheaper route is actually very smart. You have to be
Mhm.
scrappy in your business. You have to
Mhm.
be intelligent with your money because it doesn't make sense at that point to spend a lot of money, but at a certain point you're going to want to, sorry to get scriptural here, but we put
Yeah, go
away
for it.
childish things. We became
Yeah.
an adult company. We became a company that actually like believes in professionalism, not trying to
Yeah.
like put a Squarespace website up there and think that that's going to get us business because it's nothing. No offense, it's nothing. If you don't
Yeah.
put in the work on your website, it's not going to create business. So a lot of people tell me like, and it depends on the niche. So don't listen to me if you're a remodeler. You guys are swimming in business right now. I mean, there's other contractors though that like they can put up a website and they tell me like my website doesn't bring me any business. So why would I spend money promoting it? Well, I'll tell you, it's because you didn't spend any money promoting it that it's not bringing you business. So, like, I just think some people
Mm.
don't believe in digital marketing for good reason that they haven't had it happen yet, or they spent $20,000 on something. Like, no offense, but SEO, if you spend $20,000 on SEO, you're not necessarily gonna it's not enough really. And that's a hard truth for some people. They'll be like, "What? $20,000? That's a lot of money." Not for SEO, unfortunately. Like if you
Wow.
spend $1,500 a month, it's almost nothing because these guys will just give you audits and like a
Huh.
report. It's like, no offense, a report's not going to get you any more business. It takes like consistent content, writing content on the website. It takes getting links
Huh.
from other websites back to your website. It's almost like PR a little bit. And it takes
Right.
technical changes on the website and basically like it's a sales funnel. So SEO just is essentially like cranks open the funnel. SEO just makes it has to be content focused and you need blog posts up here on the top side of the funnel and you need landing pages here on the bottom of the funnel to open it up. So more and more
Huh.
business can come through on that funnel. And little content like one blog every month is not gonna make that funnel crank open. Like we're doing some
Yeah.
stuff where we're like dropping a bunch of content at once just to like try to open up that funnel quickly, but it's a hard game and time is a big component of it, so it takes time.
So sometimes there's specific knowledge in like a trade or a craft where, like you said, writing a blog post, I mean, you could do it. These contractors could do it all day, but that
Mm,
does take time also. And it's a little bit like like the business itself, where it's
yeah,
difficult to find an employee who can do the
sorry.
job itself. But same thing like writing a big blog post about the whatever nitty gritty of French drains is like not
Mhm,
any old person can write that. So my question is, do business owners
mm,
do they need to just buckle down to be like tough? You need to spend your time like writing blog posts and
mm,
like investing in your website
yeah,
yourself, or can that kind of be outsourced?
yeah.
Is that what you guys do? Is like even like the writing and stuff, or
Yeah,
how
we
does that
write
work?
stuff. We write stuff. So it's a lot easier for us because we're a completely we only work with contractors. So like we are able to learn a lot. Like I've got people that are like doing some stuff on their home and like literally use that knowledge for what they're writing, right? But
Hmm.
in general, like it's its own little craft. like 90%, 91% of blogs have zero traffic on them. So ideal scenario, you have somebody that has some SEO experience. You can outsource it if you really want. And maybe you could, like, if you did this internally, you could shoot a video, right? Like how to get the right cut on trim, right? You could make a video about that. You could just demonstrate it, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then talk through, here's the 5 points of making sure that you get the right cut on trim. And then somebody else could turn that into a blog post. So you
Mm.
can, like, that would be the ideal scenario, is like you're the subject matter expert giving the how to. Maybe your best customers aren't, like trying to do it themselves. So maybe it's a little
Mm-hmm.
bit more on the inspiration side, on the pairing side, on the
Mm-hmm.
style and color trends and all those different types of things. I tend to think how to content is not the best for contractors themselves, but
Mm. Why
and
is
that's
that?
why, like, it almost is better that we're an outside company that isn't trying to show people how to do stuff. We're actually like talking
Yeah.
about kind of a little bit more surface level things as an SEO company writing for you. But if you're early, please, I mean, and you have some extra time. Let's say you're doing the actual work Monday through Friday, and you have 3 hours on a Saturday. That's a great time to build into this. And you have to be scrappy at the beginning of your business. I think that's a really good time to learn some of this stuff. Learn enough so that you can delegate it properly when it comes time.
So why is how-to content? Why do you feel like it's not great for contractors to put out how-to
Yeah.
type of content?
Hey, I spent a lot of time putting out how-to content for myself as a person. I wrote probably 800 blog posts for our company.
Oh
Um,
wow.
as time, I did a year where I did 365 and 365 days, right? So I learned a
Jeez.
lot of
Oh
what
wow.
didn't work, because almost every single one of those did not get traffic. And so
You're
you'll
just saying because they don't people don't read them. That's why.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not about something that people are searching on Google, because Google is that gift that keeps on giving. If you rank on it, and YouTube too, right? If you rank on it, it just like, all right, every year people are searching color trends, right? So you can keep
Uh-huh.
kind of like using that, right?
Oh.
Um, but the how-to content, a lot of times, I don't know if you've seen this with like contractors, and they'll put out a lot of how-to content. Sometimes you get like those clients that want to micromanage the whole project. And so I tend to think, if I was a contractor, my ideal customer would be somebody who trusted me, who doesn't want to mess
Mhm.
with it, who isn't planning on doing it themselves, and is just ready to pay for somebody to do it right. So that's why
Right.
I would personally not be going after how-to content or DIY,
Yeah.
because I don't actually want those customers. I want customers that actually like are ready to pay a professional to do this right. So a little bit higher end customers on average are never doing anything themselves, right? I'm not
Right.
saying that you shouldn't do that. I'm saying that's what I would do if I was a contractor.
Yeah. So okay, so how do you answer when you have a contractor and
Sure.
you already alluded to it, but they're saying, I'm booked 9 months or a year out.
Mhm.
The last thing on planet Earth I want is my phone to ring. I'm
Mhm.
slammed. I whatever. I'm working like 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Like what is a website doing for that
Mhm.
person? And when you're
Yeah.
saying like you're gonna get more leads, because they're probably kind of
Yeah.
like then definitely no. So
Yeah. Yeah.
what is a website doing besides like generating leads? Because to some people that's not attractive.
Yeah, it's funny to me because I'm such like a growth guy. I love growing. Um, but a website does other things. It helps you filter bad fits, right? Like we were talking earlier about how getting rid of tire kickers is a value proposition, right? So you can filter people with the things you do on your website by talking about how you may be more expensive than others. And if you're ready to pay for quality, then we might be a great fit, but we actually handle this stuff for you. And we might not be the cheapest bid. So you're educating so you get better customers, right?
Mhm.
You're helping people understand your services a little bit more deeply before they contact you potentially, and
Mhm.
showing the type of work that you do so that the customers that do come in have a little bit better expectations, because you might be a year out, but you might be a year out because you've got some people dragging their feet on projects and they weren't very well
Mm.
educated and they've got problems after problem. Like you may want to start improving the quality of the pipeline, not just getting more into the pipeline, right?
Oh,
We want,
that's a really good point.
yeah,
Yeah. I could see, it's like the downside of having word of mouth, and a lot of, like, really successful contractors are proud of, and they should be, that they build their whole business that way, and it's great. But one downside to that is you don't have much control over who calls, and I'm sure there are,
yeah,
somebody refers you, and you kind of, like, hang up the phone, and you're like, "Thanks for the referral, really
yeah.
appreciate that." You just
You just,
know, like, I do not wanna do this
that's so funny.
deal, and,
And you feel
like, no
obligated.
control.
You feel more obligation
Yeah,
and you feel like you have to take that job. And what I'm
yeah.
telling you is you don't have to take that job. You don't have
So,
to
but
take
the
that job.
so
Yeah,
subcontractors or, like, different trades, this probably works better for some than
yeah,
others. Some generals might do, like, 1
yeah,
or 2 projects per
yeah.
year, and it might be a little bit of a different
And
animal, right?
just to be real with you, yes, we don't, and we have some remodelers, but we don't do as much. We do some for commercial construction. We don't have a ton of general, just to be honest with you,
Uh-huh.
at the moment, just because a lot of them are built out. Now, if you listen to this
Yeah.
podcast in a couple years, we might be talking again because
Yeah,
I don't think it's unlimited, right? Like I think that there's
yeah,
times, right? It's cycles, and I'm happy that it's a good cycle, and I don't wish that it turns into a bad cycle ever, but it just stuff comes up and down. So whenever there is somebody, we are generally the get more leads company or get more and better leads company. So I can speak to the using your website as a filter. I can speak to your website also reflects on the quality of your company as an employer and as a
mm,
referral partner. And I agree with you. I don't think living off of referrals is really a badge of honor. I think that you should be turning down like 8 out of 10 clients and you should be focused on the highest profit deals, and maybe you are already. So I think the website helps with that process. And if you've got a great website, you probably already know this. You probably already know that your website has played a part in helping filter people. And we have a
yeah.
couple ideas real quick for how to filter tire kickers with your marketing and sales. You can do a Calendly on your thank you page. So after they submit a contact form, you can put them to a Calendly or another scheduler. And if they go through that, then they're on your, as a digital, either a phone call or whatever it happens to be. You could put your ranges for price. You could say, we're
Let
only
me
doing
describe
jobs.
that real quick
Yeah.
because I'm familiar. What that
Excuse me.
is a tool where your calendar is synced up so that
Yep.
the prospect can see it. So they can,
Yep.
instead of those, like, they're the most annoying phone calls when you're trying to
Yep.
schedule something. What about Thursday? No, da, da, da. Anyways, you get cut all that out and they see the
Mm,
slots that are open, and then everybody knows I'm talking to Tim at 3 on Friday or whatever.
exactly.
So
And if they
okay,
don't
all right,
schedule
proceed.
it,
Sorry.
no, excuse me. And if they don't schedule it, you can make a decision about whether you want to reach out to them. But it says like you put a big headline that says, "All right, next step is to schedule right
Yeah,
now." So on the thank you
yeah,
page, you put a big headline that says "Time to schedule." You can also send them an email confirmation that says, "All right, time to schedule." And then if they
yeah.
don't go through with that, you can make a choice about whether you want to reach out, but it means a little bit higher intent. I think about
Mm,
intent a lot with marketing. What's the intent? Are they ready to buy? Are they excited to buy and excited to buy from us? Or are they just kind of like checking with a bunch of people? Because maybe
mm,
maybe I'm a contractor that's doing so well that I only want to talk to the people that want this, have a budget for this, and want to talk to my company in particular. Maybe that's where I'm at as a contractor. So this will help you just kind of not talk to the other people.
yeah.
um, and then putting
I've
price
been on a lot of
ranges.
sites. I've been on sites where I'm admiring it because you can see the aspects. Like, I don't know if you guys do this, but when there's
Yeah.
a website that says, like, chat with someone right now, and I'm
Mhm.
always kind of thinking, like, oh, that's really cool. That it's like a robot working for the owner,
Mm,
answering and shuffling and organizing and
mm,
problem solving. And I always really admire that because I think, man, if this tool wasn't here, his phone would ring, that many more times. And you got to
mm,
kind of it's it's cool to see. I could
yeah,
see a well developed website doing some really valuable time saving
mm.
processes, right?
Exactly. That's one reason. Like on our websites, we always put like an FAQ section on each page.
Oh,
That's one of the reasons we put them. We put an FAQ section and we make it into show hides. So it's good for
okay.
SEO to have more content on every service page. But it's really overwhelming if it was all showing. So we make
Right.
it so you can kind of hide it or open the question. So then you can have your top 5 most common, even objections, right? In the sales
Yeah.
process, you can help educate people.
Um, you mentioned Squarespace earlier,
Yep.
and for you, it's kind of like a low tier thing. Our website has been on Squarespace for a long
Yeah.
time. We're actually transitioning right now, but I really
Yeah.
loved it, and I was like at the time like really proud of it. So hearing a professional be like, Squarespace, I'm kind of like, oh
I'm not
dang,
mad at
yeah, that
Squarespace,
probably.
dude. Let me walk that back a little bit. I feel bad. I
Well, I'm just
obviously
saying, like,
yeah.
they can look. Ours looked really beautiful. I was so proud of it,
Yeah.
and I did make it, although it took a lot of time, I guess.
Yeah.
But anyways, talk about it. What's the downside of those like out of the box kind of sites
Yeah.
for
I think
folks?
ultimately a website is almost nothing. A website like by itself, like because there's GoDaddy Builder, there's Wix, there's
Hmm.
Squarespace, and they all kind of make a quick website and they don't look bad. It's just
Yeah.
basically for me as like if I was a contractor, I just need this thing to make business happen. So
Hmm.
I'm thinking of like, is this going to make business happen? But the only way business is going to happen unless you have or Google organic traffic or you have ads going to this website is if I give my business card to somebody on the street
Hmm.
or if I tell somebody or word of mouth. So unless this website can create traffic, can
Hmm.
create people coming to it, then it's going to be much less valuable to me as a contractor. Now, if I am a YouTube person or I've got like, a media brand or so, there's different things, right? If
Hmm.
I have traffic coming from YouTube to this site that could help develop relationships, it doesn't matter. You basically just
Hmm.
need to have some way to get people to that website. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like there has
okay,
to
that
be
makes sense.
some
Yeah,
acquisition. And so for me,
got
the
it.
the best acquisition is Google organic because I love organic traffic, right? And
Like
YouTube
the
would be
people who
another
are
great
looking for
example.
you.
So you had
Yeah.
YouTube. Sorry, what's that?
Oh, I'm just saying you're saying organic, and I'm just processing that as like
Yeah.
the people in your area who are looking for that
Yes.
type of contractor.
Yeah.
That's the person you're wanting, not
Yeah.
someone who's surfing YouTube necessarily, or who
YouTube
knows
would
what
count,
else.
dude. YouTube would be a great example too. It's just the barrier to entry seems higher to me on average because the
Yeah,
amount of work that's required to get YouTube
yeah,
traffic. So but that's an amazing one. You guys had that, right? That's an acquisition channel. So an average contractor, like you can play small ball to win big. So you can get really focused on the areas that you serve. And I strongly suggest going after suburbs if you're near a major city because it's very
mm,
hard to rank for Cincinnati. But if you did all the
mm,
suburbs around Cincinnati and you make a page for each one of those, boom, you can get traffic
got
from
it,
organic for high intent people. So
got it. Okay,
I just think we need one strategy. So if it's on Squarespace, the average Squarespace site is a little bit less focused on organic traffic the way it's built.
yeah,
It's been a while since I've done a real like code audit on a Squarespace
sure,
website. I did one in 2019 and there was some SEO stuff that's off on the templates that I was looking at. But I think that the main thing is that people are building tools all the time for WordPress for SEO.
yeah,
So there's like, it's open source, right? So open
right,
source, it attracts all these SEO tools that allow you to move a little quicker. Because if Squarespace developers had to develop every single one of those tools for search engine optimization, excuse me, just getting
yeah,
higher on Google, it would take them a lot longer versus opening it up. It's now open source. You get all these people making tools for this platform. So that's why I suggest WordPress. We do custom WordPress websites that are like that fit you like a glove. Excuse the pitch there. But basically the idea though is that we need people to come to that website from Google or else that website is worthless. You know what I mean? It's really worthless.
interesting.
It doesn't
Yeah,
matter how pretty that website is. It doesn't matter how well it It
Mhm.
shows off your work. If no one's coming to that website except through word of mouth, I feel
Right.
like it wouldn't justify the price that because we're a little bit more expensive. It wouldn't justify the price. So I have to get
Yeah.
people to people's websites. Otherwise, it was too much for a website. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it's like if your website is just after you meet somebody, then you're like, "Oh, go look at my website." It's kinda
Yeah.
like it's already obsolete. Like you're
Yeah.
why? You already have you can
Yeah.
sell them yourself or, help them out. That's
Yeah.
interesting, but if the website is bringing the people into your orbit, then
And
there you go. There's
there is exceptions, right? Like I think about companies that built off of like billboards, for instance, or like other types of like you have YouTube.
yeah,
There's contractors that I talk to that like brand and like sponsor stuff and they have billboards and like those guys, that's an acquisition channel. You just have to have probably a
something.
couple heavy
Okay.
acquisition channels, whatever they happen to be. So some people are billboard, some people are paid ads. They just do a bunch of Google ads. Then you don't need to, it doesn't matter what platform you, it just needs to be a persuasive
Oh.
website.
Oh, I
So
see.
yeah, there's a lot of
Interesting.
acquisition channels. Like it's just, I happen to be very partial to SEO. So that's what I like WordPress, but yeah.
I I gotta we you mentioned this earlier, but I still just love the concept. And it's almost like this intangible aspect of websites and branding and marketing in general, where you see somebody's branding or their website, well, maybe their truck as it drives by. And if
Mm,
it's done right, I don't know why, but you just are for me, I'm more likely to like trust the
yeah.
person and like
Yeah.
I don't like look over there. It's just it feels like maybe kind of like going to like a I don't know if this is the best analogy, but like a chain restaurant where you're kind of like,
Hmm.
I know this is like a safe bet. I'm not
Yeah.
going to get sick, and it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Versus like some hole in the wall where you're kind of like, I don't know. Let's see what happens here. This could go bad, but could be amazing. You never know. That's always the
That's
hope.
so
Like with
cool. Yeah.
contractors, my
Yeah.
favorite is always like you find this contractor who's so good and so busy and old school and like it doesn't bother. Like I love the concept of that, but it's also a little bit of a risk. And whereas when you
Yeah.
see like a well developed website, even if it's feels a little more markety, which generally is not like attractive, it's like counterintuitive that the more you feel the marketing, for me it feels
Mm,
like they're trying to sell me. I gotta
mhm.
I gotta not like go down their road here. But point is, it's just funny how websites they really do that. And I could imagine with like higher end clientele, that being not just
Yeah.
important for them to have the confidence, but even just to do work for those people in general. In other words, if they go to a website and it's all busted up, I mean, they
Can
probably wouldn't
I
be on the website in the first place.
can I address your markety comment real
Yeah,
quick?
yeah,
So
yeah.
here's
Tell
the
me.
deal, like, this is the way I think of it. Your website should not be about you, the contractor. This is very much based on Donald Miller's story brand. If you've checked it out, if you're not in marketing, this one's still good. This one's a kind of a good, it's a good one to
Hmm.
read for like intro to marketing. It's basically, it should be about the customer. So they shouldn't see we're the best home builder in Cincinnati. They should see you want a partner to help you through the entire home building process. Like instead of us, it should be you on the website. So you should be
Right.
talking to
Okay.
the ideal customer and showing pictures of your existing customers. That's not even marketing. That's just,
Uh huh.
hey, people like you are doing things like this.
Got it. And like I can help you
So,
solve this problem you have.
yeah.
Like I'm the one who
Yeah.
can, or maybe not say I, but this is the problem you
Exactly.
have, and we're
Problem.
your
A
partner
problem
on it.
that you're problem is really good. Starting out with the problem. Are you afraid, like, are you sick of contractors that won't call you back? Is a great like problem focus headline, right?
Uh huh.
And part of it is like really showing other clients like or customers like the ones that you want to duplicate, right? Show what you want to grow. So we were talking about
Mm-hmm.
ways to filter tire kickers. Show higher end projects. Be honest about your price range, right? Like it's you don't want that lead if they have a budget of $30,000. That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
You can make that decision. You are in an abundance mindset. You are changing the way you're doing business. You're not in 2012 anymore. You're in 2022. You can make decisions based on your current sales pipeline, right? And get rid of some of those tire kickers.
Mm.
So I think it's less markety if you show the people, like, it's like if you're showing real people that worked with your company, ideally in the form of video, but even if just it's a smiling face and their Google review with a 5 star
Yeah.
and where the review was left, that's putting, I say putting ketchup on the table. I worked at a restaurant chain, like you were talking about. Um, I worked at the corporate office in one of my first marketing jobs, and it was a fancy restaurant, but they wanted to bring it down to earth. It's called Ocean Air, as in Minneapolis, um, and they would put ketchup on the table just to kind of bring down the ambiance a little bit, so people felt like it was
Mm.
like homey and attractive, right? So it's not just a,
Interesting.
yeah. So like I say ketchup on the table because that brings it down to earth when you show real customers, when you show real work. You're not using stock
Yeah.
images.
Oh,
You're not
right.
using it doesn't all have to be perfect, but it does need to
Yeah.
show your real customers, and you can't have us, we.
Yeah.
Get your we off the website. That's another thing I
And
like to say.
about like marketing being off-putting, contractors are uniquely insulated from that. In other words, that doesn't show up very often in the contractor world because they're solving problems and selling products and services that are like infinitely practical and tangible
Mhm.
and like real. In other words,
Yeah,
like maybe for your business it's a little more challenging because you're selling this
yeah,
service that they can't really see like, oh well, this
yeah.
one's $100 and this one's way 100 times the price.
This is exactly why we niched into contractors, by the way. What
Okay.
you're
Yeah.
describing,
Yeah. Because
this
like
is why we're niched into contractors.
yeah, it makes I'm like just thinking out loud
Yeah.
here, and even if you had like really slick marketing, and if somebody was your trucks are all logoed out to the moon, fine. At the end of the day, if you're doing good work and solving customers' problems, it's much easier for them to focus on like those guys are awesome because of that, as opposed to like thinking, oh well, they're just charging this price because of
Mm,
all the logos on their trucks. But point is, contractors have a real they're a little protected for some of that like vibe of
mm,
salesy, schmoozy, more like fluffy kind of marketing where you can't attribute the exact dollar and cents value.
mm.
Contractors are building and solving very
Yeah.
specific problems that people have. So don't be
Yeah, that's
scared.
that's that, to be honest, that was exactly why one of the main reasons I chose contractors as our niche. I mean, I had 3 contractors right when I started as
Hmm.
clients, asphalt remodeling and a roofer, like 3 of my first 5 clients, but it was also just
Wow.
that idea of like we also had a software company and we had a sales or financial services company. So like I just kind of like I didn't like because marketing is soft, and then on top of a software which is soft, it just felt like I was
Yeah.
like removed from the physical world too much. So like
Yeah.
that's why I like marketing contractors because at least it's like one layer of fluffiness layered on
Yeah.
something very solid, not
Yeah.
like yeah
So what are like what's the ideal size of contractors that you guys like to work
yeah
with? Because like you said at some point when you're starting out and under whatever size, you're
yeah
probably best off with a out of the box kind of a
yeah. And I
builder
say
type
that
thing.
because
But what
I would have done the same if I was a contractor. I'm not going to go to like so our websites are, like 20K and our SEO is like 4K and our PPC is 1.5K a month to manage it, Google Ads.
uh-huh.
Like so I
What's
say 2 million,
PPC?
but Google Ads, like managing
Oh,
Google
Google Ads.
Ads. So like
Okay.
and that one's been like really popping off lately because I think it's just quicker to leads. But yeah, we say 2
Yeah.
million plus, but that's mostly just because I don't want to be a burden, man. I don't want to be, I think
Yeah.
at that early stage, you need everything to pay off so quick. So like people are a little bit more susceptible, like House and Angie leads and all these places because it's quick. You know what I mean? It might not be
Mm,
healthy per se, but like, cause you're kind of building somebody else's reputation, not your own company, but
mm,
at least it's quick. You know what I mean? I get that. I empathize with that. And I don't know, I'd try all kinds of things if I was an early contractor. But yeah, 2 million plus just because and we work with some 1 million plus, but like it just makes more sense to spend the money that we cost at
mhm.
because like I think of marketing budget as like 5% of revenue like for contractors on average. So I just like I don't want to be such a burden, you know what I mean? Like I want to be very good at what we do, and I also don't want to like cut any corners. So like I've also like we could technically make websites for 5K. Like
Mhm.
it's not hard to roll out a Squarespace site or a WordPress theme. It's just like
Mhm.
you, I care about craftsmanship in what we're doing. Like all of this stuff is completely designed by hand with people in our
Yeah.
office. We got a 20-person team, and then like coded by hand. Like, and we do have kind of a starter internal theme for this stuff. So we're trying
Mhm.
to make efficiencies, but it's all like by hand. It's like craftsmanship, but on the digital marketing side. So like
Yeah.
basically that's why like I just don't want to sacrifice quality. I'm not gonna, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna create the cheaper version because I'm like obsessed with making something better every single time.
So you kind of spoke to it there, but go a little more on that. In in woodworking and welding and asphalt, good craftsmanship is it's kind of easy to see what makes,
Yeah.
great craftsmanship. What does it look like in marketing and in website work?
Yeah.
What is good craftsmanship in your world and with your team?
Yeah, I think it's custom, making stuff custom. You know what I mean? Like we're not the track home, you know, like it's the custom built for you stuff. So we write like for instance on all of our stuff, it's on SEO, we write these blog posts from scratch every time. We ask the right questions in the kickoffs to make sure that we understand why you're different than competitors. And
Mm,
your writer is focused on like formatting these blog posts so that they're interesting and engaging with like bullet points and headlines and images and videos. Like we embed that stuff into, we even do some infographics, and we do a lot of like, how is this post going to rank? Because 91% of blog posts don't have any traffic. So like we do all that stuff in there custom every single time. Websites completely custom based on like, what does your homeowner really want? You know, like what is their pain right now? We asked all the right questions to understand what makes your company different, and then showcase that on the website custom every time. So
yeah.
that's kind of, I think, the custom aspect. And then it's like the niching. I mean, being niched is part of our
Yeah.
craftsmanship, because I think like when you can reuse the strategy, not reuse the deliverable, not reuse the design, but
Mhm.
reuse the strategy. If you said I'm going to only build a certain type of home, like let's say you're a modern home builder, right? You're like, I'm going to do modern sustainable homes. And we have a track record of working with companies like that. We have OG client that we worked with for a long time. Like that kind of specialization, you get to reuse the information that you've gained
Mhm.
every single time. So like
Yeah.
specialization is another crossover. I think that like that's craftsmanship to us, is having specialized and made that leap. And
Yeah.
we say no to people that aren't contractors. Saying no is part of craftsmanship. And then the last one, paid ads, our craftsmanship is more along the lines of like, we're writing ads custom every single time. We're
Mhm.
making the ad account every single time. I've seen a lot of marketing agencies that copy and paste everything. So
Mm.
basically, that's what craftsmanship means to me: customization, reusing the information, but
Mhm.
not reusing the deliverables, reproducing the wins, but not copying stuff wholesale. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think that's ultimately what I think craftsmanship means to me. And the last bit, I'm just going to say one last thing on this. Um, Shakunin. The word shakunin comes from, I've heard it in Euro Dreams of Sushi on Netflix. It
I know
means,
I've heard that word, but I can't.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't- I could not define it or give you any more.
I'm going to give you real quick what that is, and I'm going to make sure I don't botch it. So I'm
Okay.
looking
Yeah.
it
Look
up
it
real
up.
quick. It's 1 second. I'm gonna give you kind of a, there it is. It's finding a balance on delivering not only the highest quality, but a dedication to giving back to one's community. And so it's like a mixture of like obsession. It's like a positive
Mhm.
obsession. positive obsession with the quality of the work that you're doing on the very little details, but then I'm also like, this is part of the meaning of my life.
Yeah.
That I'm getting meaning out of like making this the best it possibly can be because I can't find meaning. I personally, I built the company this way because I can't find meaning any other way. Like I'm not one of those guys that has been able to hang my hat on. I got the cowboy hat behind me that can
Yeah.
hang my hat on religion or whatever else. I got this. This is what I have. And
Yeah.
what I have is like I'm trying to make a great company that makes things really good. Like, and then
Yeah.
it's a little too deep probably, but maybe work wasn't supposed to be that. But
Well,
I
I get it.
yeah,
I've made a
yeah,
handful of websites,
yeah,
and they're, don't get me wrong, they're like the equivalent of like a DIY project,
yeah,
like a pro would look at it and be like, cute. But
yeah.
when I am done and just looking at it, and I spend a lot of time fussing over getting something like lined up, like
Mhm.
I I I feel that same sense of like pride as when if I
Mhm.
build something in the real world, let's say,
Yeah,
in the physical world, um, because
exactly. Exactly.
when there's no typos and
Yep.
the justify margins are all lined up and the colors are like everywhere, like
Mhm.
it feels really good. And after you've been on, there's a lot of websites that you'll come across that somebody just kind of like said, "That's good enough." So I could
Yeah.
imagine at the professional level,
Yeah.
the level of detail and precision in design, not just the design, but the
Yeah.
strategy and purpose of a website would be pretty satisfying when you have a site that's done and you present it, and you probably feel some real, I don't know,
Oh,
pride,
it's
satisfaction of
beautiful.
to like
Yeah.
unveil that thing.
And it's not just me now. So it's a 20-person company. Like, think about this.
Yeah.
Like, I think that this probably transfers to a lot of contractors too, who are trying to like lead and
Right.
delegate and then still see craftsmanship. Right. So
Yeah.
like
Right.
it's way more impactful. I almost cried this morning, dude, in our meeting with all of our employees because I just was talking about how I wasn't involved in the strategy of a particular build. In my case, it was a website build, but in your case, it might be a home or whatever.
Sure.
And coming and then looking, and there's always already a bunch of quality control that got done, made sure that like all the processes were carried out, and it was beautiful without my work, without me. And I helped craft the strategy and the process behind that and we have a lot of checklists and things in place to make sure that these are good, but you can't get inspiration from that. So there was obviously somebody got inspired in this process and made something that
Right.
was inspiringly good without me
Yep.
having looked at it once. And it was getting ready
Yeah.
to get presented to the client. Like that's the next level of craftsmanship. So you kind of like I'm
Yeah.
crafting a company that makes good stuff, not
Yeah. That
just
makes sense.
not
Yeah.
just the website. So I don't know. I think that probably applies to contractors too, like that
Yeah,
are
that's
making a
cool. And
company. Yeah.
the other thing contractors would relate to, and maybe any business owner, but when you're starting or when you're an employee, the thought of like spending, let's say, 20 or $30,000 on a website or on web development for the year is, it's kind of silly. It's almost like,
Yeah.
what you could
Yeah.
buy, what kind of equipment you could buy. It's like but when you're running a business, and this is something I've only started learning in the last year or two, um, to hire somebody to do it, you could bring it in house, and let's say a
Mm,
contractor could hire a person to who knows web, and well, it's going to cost a lot more than 20 or $30,000 to bring on the right person, and
mhm,
that introduces that challenge of finding the
mhm,
right people with the right expertise and skill and all that vibe. So it's kind of like subbing out any part of any construction process where
mhm,
at the end of the day, generally, it's much less expensive to hire the specialist to do
mhm,
the thing than to try to bring it in house. There's a lot of general contractors who could bring all the plumbing in house. Why? We already
mhm.
have trucks and skill saws and whatever. Why would we? But most of them don't,
Yeah.
because that, dividing it up at the end of the day is just more profitable for them because they can
Yeah.
kind of
Because you have to have
specialize.
that
Okay.
person. You have to have that person sitting around half the time. If you know what I mean, like you have to either have work for them And yeah, if you
Yeah.
get somebody that can do social media and do video and then do a website, the problem is like that's a lot of skill sets, right?
Yeah.
Like I wish, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I hire
Yeah,
a lot of
exactly.
marketers, right? Like I've hired probably 35 marketers or whatever. And there's a lot of there's wins, there's a lot
Mhm.
of losses. Like
Yeah.
I'm not saying everybody I hired worked out. So like to go through that, what if you train somebody or you paid for somebody to train themselves for a year and then you lost them?
Mhm.
Anyways, I'm not rooting for the unfortunate situation that we have right now in the employment market. Like I'm just saying
Mhm.
like it's a lot of work to learn how to hire well on any type of specialty role. Anyways, I
Yeah.
think what you and I are both saying is professionalism is good. It's good to
Yeah.
have professionalism, and there's nothing wrong with specializing and being okay with saying, I don't know that. And
Yeah.
the real question is this important? Is this actually
Yeah.
important for your business? And you may decide, no, it's not that important. And then that's
Yeah.
fine. But if it is
The funny thing
important,
is,
yeah,
I'm like talking out of both sides of my mouth here
yeah,
because I experienced this in like my own life in terms of home projects. Like I like doing things myself. I just like it,
yeah.
whatever it is. You know, a roof repair or a sprinkler repair. But I
Hmm.
just like doing it. And in every case, it would probably be better to bring in somebody else, a pro. But same thing
Hmm.
as websites. That's why I
Yeah.
always find myself kind of doing them. In fact, in the intro, I talked about it with the viewers. I've been doing websites for the last few months, our own, like remodeling and kind of like rebooting ours, and it's been extremely frustrating. Don't get me wrong, because I like
Hmm.
don't know how to do it, but I can't help also I just like experiencing different
Yeah.
types of trades. So I don't know. I think
And if
everybody has
you
to answer
do,
this for themselves,
yeah,
and
I think
for
for
the guys
you,
who are
yeah. And I think
well,
for
I
you,
gotta say
man, it's
for
like,
big
go for it. Like,
contractors,
yeah,
yeah, for big contractors who got their book of work slammed,
built out. Yeah.
it makes sense to me to like not learn web development.
Bro, I was making websites in a library when I was like 10 or 11. Like on a
Wow,
really bad builder, but nonetheless, I've been doing this since I was little. I would never want somebody not to
cool.
experience that if they like it. The thing is
Yeah,
I like it and I think we like it more than most people. And sometimes it's
yeah,
just like, what do you want to spend your time doing, man? If you like if you'd rather be working with your hands or building the business and making a craft out of building the business by selling jobs and
hmm,
hiring people and stuff like that, maybe this isn't worth your time because usually it's going to be less, it's going to be more time
yeah,
to learn it, right? Like it could be 100 hours or like couple 100 hours for you, whereas for
yeah.
us, we're actually much more efficient. Maybe your time is worth more than
Yeah.
it would
Well, one of the
you
reasons
to
why
spend.
I've done it is because, and for the people listening, this may not be the case, but like our business and with YouTube, like making the type of website that we needed for this YouTube channel, it's been hard to find the person or the company with like that exact expertise. And so
Mhm.
I've always looked, and I know
Yeah.
like a lot of people could whip out a site that kind of got the job done, but
Yeah.
we've got this like kind of relatively narrow. It's not so narrow, but
Yeah.
point is, I think if I would have found a specialist who was like, "Listen, we do YouTube, we do
Yeah.
websites for YouTube channel people
Yeah.
who are trying to do X, Y, Z and are heading this direction," I would have been like, "Oh, thank you, please do this for me." But
Exactly,
I
right?
never found that person,
Yeah.
and so I
Yeah.
was like, "Well, I guess I'm doing it. I guess I'm gonna have to figure this out."
I think you made the right decision with the way you did stuff. I'm just opinionated about contractors and
Yeah,
specifically because I know what more because of the lead side of things because we know it gets
yeah.
leads. Can I throw out like a little bit of like a call to action for folks?
Oh yeah, please,
Yeah, if
definitely.
you want me personally to look at your website and spend 10 minutes going through it, and we have a 20-point audit that we audit people's websites, go to hookagency.com/audit and fill out the form there. And I personally will check out your website and look at what's working and what's not working, including the SEO. We do the last five kind of points are about like your Google business profile. Now they're calling it. It used to be
Hmm.
Google My Business. Your reviews, your SEO. I can look at using a SEO tool. I can kind of see how well you're doing on search engine optimization, how much traffic you're getting from Google and stuff. So I'll check it out. It's hookagency.com/audit, AUDIT. And
Perfect.
I'll spend 10 minutes with your website. I know I'm going to get a few of those because I see how many views you get on these videos. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm going to go through your website for at least 10 minutes and do this. So appreciate you
Yeah, we'll
guys
link to
for,
that.
yeah,
We'll put that link in the description. And the other thing
yeah,
we didn't really mention, but we should mention it here at the close, because getting leads is one uh, reason to have a website. But in this day and age, and maybe we did mention this, there actually
yeah,
everybody I know who's a contractor is so slammed, and everybody I know like can't find work and
yeah,
employees. And you actually mentioned that. Maybe speak to that a little bit. So
yeah.
you're saying that one strategy for website is for finding employees, or
Yeah,
how
and
can a website help with
even if
that?
people, let's say you're putting out your job posts on Indeed, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, or having your employees kind of refer other prospective employees, whatever you happen to do, um, that website is reflecting on the quality of work environment as well. Like, and that is one thing that you can do if you create a website that looks like your company's cool.
Hmm.
Like that helps. And you can also put like a careers tab up there, right? Like for a lot of we've done more like commercial construction companies that are really desperate for people or whatever. So we'll put it up, you put the call to action with the button. A lot of times it's like get a consultation or something, but you can put a little careers tab right above it, or like a secondary button that says careers. I think you should have a video about your culture, right, on that page.
Hmm.
And then ideally, you even have like a listing of all the jobs right there. You can click through to them, whether that's like on the website or it goes to your secondary job platform. There's a lot of opportunity there to treat somebody very wise. I should say the guy's name, teamengine.io, or that's the company name. He just did a podcast with me, and it was like, treat this like it's lead gen. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Treat this like it's marketing. And I did that recently on some job posts that I did because I've been having trouble too. And we have a very fluffy work environment. You know what I mean? Like, so it's crazy. I can't
Yeah.
imagine what it's like for contractors. Like, so treat it like it's lead gen. One, like write the job post like you actually like, not dry. Like write
Hmm.
it like you really want somebody and you're trying to connect with them. Write it as a personal letter to the job, the person, and make it sound, talk about the things you're doing well. I even do like a list of it with emojis at the front with all the benefits of working there. I'm treating this like it's marketing, like not just
Yeah.
dry job stuff, because the tables have turned, and it's
Yeah.
for the employee right now, right? And then
Yeah. That's it.
text
That's
back
it.
and forth with them. Yeah.
They have like if you're a skilled or an ambitious worker, getting into the trades, you have your pick of the litter in where you
Hmm.
want to work. You can
Yep.
kind of, and if you're listening to this and you're like younger, let's say, and coming out of high school or college, this is important. Like
Hmm.
you have more job options now than than normally in this
Yeah.
space. And so, and to the employers, we got to remember that these young folks, they are like, there's and I'm not sacrificing, but when they take a job somewhere, that's going on their resume, and it matters to them that it will
Hmm.
reflect well on their career. Will
Yep.
working for this company move me to the place I want to be? And that's, maybe it will, if it's just kind of like the under the radar super slam contractor. Like, you could certainly learn a lot, but there's also some value for that person working for a company that might have a little more, some type of clout that could be
Hmm.
portrayed through a website, that then
Mm.
when they roll forward, like, oh, this is where I worked for 3 years, when
Yeah.
somebody's clicking through that, they could be like, cool,
Oh, they
as
work for
opposed to
that
I looked
company?
for,
Yeah.
yeah, instead of just like, I worked for whatever
Yeah.
backwoods tree trimmer. Oh, he was a cool guy. He sent him a fax. It's like, it's a
Yeah.
much different like message about your
And you look at
resume that these.
backwoods tree trimmer, and has got like a dope logo, and like the website looks great,
Yeah,
and like has all these. Hey,
yeah,
this
right,
is cool. This If they work for this company, then this, and plus current employees get a sense of pride. Like that's
yeah.
cool. Like when we make a website, people that work for that company think they work for a cooler company than they did previously.
Yeah, well, they do. It's one of those things that's like
Yeah.
it's like smell or electricity. It's
Yeah.
like you can't see it, but you know when it's there, and it's nice when
Yeah.
it's like, working in your favor.
The good news
um,
just to you, Nate, like, and I know that you're talking like you should want this. A lot more contractors want this these days than 5 years
yeah,
ago. Like in my
yeah,
experience, like now that we've been doing this for, a good chunk of time, I've seen a lot. Like, cause about 10 years ago or whatever, I started going into this career, and 5 years ago we started the company, and or five and a half now. The weird part is, yeah, it's younger people making companies now, man. There's people. I'm 36.
yeah.
There's a lot of people my age. I'd like one of the OG clients we have is 31, and they're going to $20 million this year. And I was part of helping
Wow.
him get there. 31 years old. So there's a lot of people that are on the come up now that are
Yeah,
30 to 45 that get this, that already know.
yeah,
And no
yep.
offense, you're going to be if you're if, and I'm this sounds ageist, but I'm just saying, like, if you don't understand the value of this, you could be 22 and you don't understand the value of this, right? If you don't get why digital marketing matters, if you don't think your website matters, you're competing against not just other contractors for leads, you're competing for employees,
Yeah.
and they know it matters. Like, these people know it matters, and they're going to make themselves almost look cooler than they are.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely a thing. Yeah, it's like you ignore this at your own peril
Yeah.
and your
Yeah.
own risk. Well, that's a good spot to stop here, Tim. Thanks so much, and we'll link to the audit link
I feel like
you
I gotta
mentioned,
say
Hook
something.
Agency.
I gotta say
Oh, go
something
ahead.
inspirational after that. I don't want to just be the guy who sells with fear. I gotta say something positive.
All right, give it to us.
Hey, if you're a small business, a owner, or a contractor in general, I just want to say this is like, we are trying to help people recognize the truth about the trades, that it's a amazing opportunity for their career, that it's a powerful way to be useful in your community, and that it's an exciting up and coming industry that is going to be more and more well respected, because the people in the trades are doing things that are anchored, that are real, that are useful to their fellow home, people in their area. So we have a little project that we're working on to help popularize and help people understand the truth about the trades. It's actually tradesindemand.org, tradesindemand.org. And it actually has listings of like popular trades that are currently in demand. And it also has videos. We're trying to get more of these. So if you feel like contributing, we're looking for like 2-minute videos that showcase a particular trade and why it's cool and why you might want to get into it as a young person. So if you ever feel like being part of that, tradesindemand.org is something that we're working on right now to try to use some of our marketing skills to help people recognize the truth about the trades and how awesome it is to work in the trades. So thank you
Oh,
for
that is
having me on.
yeah, I love it. That is you're speaking our message there. We feel the same way. It's actually kind of amazing how many trades exist that I'm still learning about. Like I just kind of I'm going to blank on it, but someone the other day, I can't remember now. There's a lot, these trades that are
Yeah.
existing. Oh well, this is a different story. But my son asked me. We were driving, and there was like a bucket truck in front of us.
Mm.
Like the guy went up and he kind of started asking like about like that type of work. Working on power
Hmm.
lines and stuff. And anyways, these types of just extremely valuable
Hmm.
trades and lucrative careers
Yep.
that exist that if nobody tells you about it, then you might not know about it, and
You might
especially
go
when
to
you're,
school for
18.
psychology. Like,
Yeah,
you might go to school
exactly.
for philosophy. I mean, basically, like, I honestly believe it's honorable that we all get the word out about this and help people not like, I think there's just more opportunities than people realize. And they think, like, unfortunately, our education system is a little bit broken. And I like give honor to the teachers that are trying, but like, it tells people about the things that require college and not the things that give you 100K 5 years after you graduate high school if you just learn
Yeah.
them and care.
Right. Yeah, that's great. All right, Tim. Well, keep up the good work. I love what you're doing. We'll link
Yeah.
to your all your sites here, and if any of you are, if this is striking a chord, I suspect there's some people listening, especially if they're still listening. They've known they needed to get this cleaned up in their business for a long time. Well, maybe this is the sign to get her done. So, hey, thanks for joining us. We'll do it again one of these days, and have a great rest of your week.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.